Good morning. So today I'm here in the beautiful Savernake forest to just record the beauty of autumn and to really focus on these wonderful colours all around me. I love it when it's wet like this and the autumn colours are almost at their end, and you can really focus on the contrast between the darks and lights and the bark and the beauty and the colours, the leaves. So let's see what we can find. Okay, so I'm set up for my first shot, and behind me, just notice this massive branch of this tree has broken off and then been held by its neighbour. Now, there's quite a lot of bright sky in this shot, so it's quite difficult to do. When you're photographing woodland, it's a good idea to keep as much sky out of the shot as possible. But in this case, you know, there's only so much you can do because it's quite high up. So let's kind of work around this tree and work around the shot and see what we can do. So this is another fantastic oak, and really got some interesting shapes. There's beautiful branches leaning and stretching with the beautiful birch trees behind, providing some colour. It's fantastic. So let's take a couple of shots and see what we can do. So first of all, I've got my camera set up already this time. So on ISO 64 on f11. I'm going to just do a shutter release of a 2-second timer, and I'm going to take a couple of focal points to just make sure I've got exactly where I need the shot, because I think this is a really beautiful place and a really beautiful shots. Okay, so again, just take time to review your shots in woodland. There's always another angle, there's always another way of doing it. I've been around this tree a few times looking at it and photographing it from different angles, and this is the one that really captures its kind of spirit, I think. Fantastic, right. So I want to try and get some of that colour in behind as well. So I'm going to try a couple of different exposures to try and get as much colour as I can out of it. Okay, I'm going to try one on f9. And I'm going to focus in on a completely different point. So just using my focal points, and I'm going to focus in on this part of the tree instead. Really want to make sure the texture and the bark are in there. Okay, now I probably don't need to do this, but I'm just going to do it anyway. I'm just going to go once on the background as well, and just focusing on the background. And then if I need to, I can focus stack the images together to create a really sharp overall picture. Great, let's move on. So here we are. This is another fantastic tree. On one side it's been kind of split in half, and the other side there's loads of green moss. It's absolutely fantastic. So let's make a start. So first of all, for this one, I'm going to work in manual, and I'm going to show you the back of my screen. So here we go. So first of all, the reason I'm using manual is because in this particular shot, you've really got to use the shutter speed carefully, because if you take it in a normal, like for instance, kind of aperture priority, what will happen is essentially this. You'll get a situation where You might take 3 exposures like these 3 here. I don't know if you can just about see that on the screen, but this is exposure number 1. You can see that the trunk is way too dark here. It's not working at all. Okay, and then the and then the second exposure wasn't really working either. So the way to get around that, okay, is to really don't just rely on bracketing doing it all for you in terms of exposure. Take a range of shots where you purposefully overexpose the scene. So take bracketing off. We want to focus on where our focal point is. So I'm just going to focus on this part of the tree and just take a shot. Now I'm going to just put it on a 2-second timer release because some of these will get quite slow. So now I'm going to take another couple of stops down. I'm going to take another shot. What I'm looking for in this shot is I'm looking for as much detail as possible. So when I zoom into that, I've got a good amount of detail and I've got a good amount of light throughout this image. And that's what I'm really looking for. Now, I then need to look for the sky. So if I come back and take that much further down in terms of making my shutter speed faster, and then, I mean, there isn't much interest in the sky, but you need to get the sky exposed so it's at a point where it doesn't cause a problem with the leaves around it, okay? So if we just zoom into this, this section in a second and just see how we're doing. So just have a look at the sky and the leaves, make sure, because you can get what's called chromatic aberration, which is where you get fringing on the side of the leaves. That does depend on your lens, but it also depends on your exposure, getting the correct exposure. So I think that's looking good. I'll take another shot just to be sure though. I wasn't sure if that was completely in focus. So let's just go over to the side of the tree where we've got some leaves, check for focus, and away we go. Now, that shot should be a very dark tree, but then you've got the sky information where you need it to be. And then when we go back, we've got all the information on the trunk and different exposures to choose from. I think that's probably the one for me in terms of getting the amount of detail in the tree. But we can see there this beautiful contrast between this green stem here of the tree and this amazing kind of gash in the tree. So I'm not sure what it's called, but it's beautiful. Okay, let's move on. So here we are. So there's another absolutely magical oak in the Savernake forest. There are just so many beautiful trees here. It's a really ancient woodland and surrounded by a whole array of different colours. So beautiful kind of bracken on the floor and just a beautiful kind of range of greens. It's absolutely fantastic. So let's make a start. So first of all, if I just I've just set my camera up already, so I'm on f11, ISO 80. I'm just going to quickly zoom into it and just check my focus, make sure I'm on a 2-second timer again, and bracketing of 3 images. So, right, now what we're going to do is just have a check. Oh, it's beautiful colours, absolutely fantastic colours. And this incredible kind of tones in the image. So as I just zoom into the image, just checking for focus, checking for colour, making sure everything's where it needs to be. I've taken a few shots before, but that's absolutely lovely. It works so well. Fantastic. So, I hope you've really enjoyed this week's video. Please like and subscribe. If you'd like to see more, then there's a fantastic video on use of aperture here and other tips and tricks and photography help in terms of editing, composition, and how we use our cameras. So, until then, I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.